Should the Democrats be pushing for impeachment proceedings, considering what was revealed yesterday in the Mueller report? Now, right off the bat, we know that some in the Democratic leadership are not interested in that, with Steny Hoyer saying that we'll just have an election. We'll leave it up to the people because that's what the Constitution says. Nancy Pelosi is not interested. She says Trump isn't worth it. Some of the other candidates in the Democratic primary that have been approached, including, I believe, Beto O'Rourke and Cory Booker, have both said, no, we shouldn't do that. We should just have an election. But on the other side, there are people who are pushing for it, including one very notable name, which we'll get to in just a second. But before we jump into our back and forth, and we're gonna be debating this, AOC tweeted yesterday, Mueller's report is clear in pointing to Congress's responsibility in investigating obstruction of justice by the president. It is our job as outlined in Article 1 of the Constitution. As such, I'll be signing on to Rashida Tlaib's impeachment resolution. And she responds to the concerns about what effect it could have on the election or how likely it would be to actually get through the Republican-held Senate, saying, while I understand the political reality of the Senate and election considerations, upon reading this DOJ report, which explicitly names Congress in determining obstruction, I cannot see a reason for us to abdicate from our constitutionally mandated responsibility to investigate. She was joined by other representatives, there are many, but I will include Ilhan Omar, who said, impeachment is part of our constitutional responsibility. We have an obligation to investigate whether the president committed impeachable offenses, including obstruction of justice, the Emoluments Clause, collusion, abuse of power. Now, up until today, I don't know that any declared senators had been pushing for it, certainly none in the Democratic primary, but today we do have one, with Elizabeth Warren saying the severity of this misconduct demands that elected officials in both parties set aside political considerations and do their constitutional duty. That means the House should initiate impeachment proceedings against the President of the United States. And I believe that does make her the first person in the primary to say that, although I did read very soon after Pete Buttigieg said something that sounded like he might think that it might be a direction the Democrats should go in. So you got the two sides. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I agree with Ilhan Omar on this. It is just, and I don't think it needs to be pitched as like, we're going after him, get the pitchforks and the torches, we're gonna go get him. That is not what it is. This is like, I regret to inform you that we have a constitutional obligation to pursue this as laid out in the Mueller report, which came out as a result of Jeff Sessions saying, I don't know, I talked to too many Russians. Let's get someone independent to kind of look at this. What do you think, Jayar?
The problem with it is, and of course from the beginning, it's pretty glaring, I think, the number of things that the president has done without having to look for some kind of investigation to explicitly lay out him writing a letter with his signature on it saying, I, Donald J. Trump, am about to commit treason, or I'm about to commit conspiracy against the United States. It seems like that's the legal barriers that we have to go through for these types of things. But when you're having this kind of discussion about whether or not to initiate impeachment proceedings or just to investigate the things he's done, I think you can take it in stages. So part of that, and what AOC was saying and Ilhan Omar was saying, was the obligation of the Congress is to exercise their oversight and investigate things that we see. Do that part. As those things come out, your impeachment initiation will actually have more teeth, because we're living in a political world now that no matter how much reality is put in front of many people's faces, they don't want to accept it, especially the people that are in elected office, because they're just bowing down to the leader of their party right now anyway. So initiating it is going to affect things like the election and your chances of not having to talk, of being able to talk about policies rather than impeachment. I get that, because that's the way you beat the guy, because the majority of Americans actually do agree with many of the progressive policies. You won't get that message out enough, but you can kind of do both at the same time. Do your investigations, get the information out, and then when people say, there's nothing positive left about this guy, you have to argue against impeachment then?
Yeah, right, because
it's hard to do it then. You have to, I think you can kind of do it, and it seems like, I don't know, I've spoken in a weird roundabout way about this, but it's kind of a two-lane thing. You do both at the same time. Still give your policies and investigate the guy, and impeachment will take care of itself.
Impeachment does not mean removal from office. Like,
exactly.
What we're saying
is, that's what people are convinced of.
Right, so here's the thing, like, people are used to some kind of apparatus aggregating information to see if the president is as corrupt as everyone knows him to be. I don't think that's gonna change. What do you think if we stop trying to hunt down information, Trump's going to be like, finally, we can all get along now. I'm going to stop going after X, Y, and Z person. Those are variables. He's just going to plug in new ones. He's going to continue to message in that way. He's still going after the fake New York Times. Like today, he tweeted, the fake New York Times is the enemy of the people. He's going to repeat things no matter what. So just continue to find that information. And when it comes to messaging, the campaign that's going to be run is still going to be one that's focused not on that, but focused on this is what Americans want and need.
Yeah. Well, there's no time. I got to end.
Yes, there is.
So I will end with a hypothetical. Hypothetical. And just because I don't want you to be biased by your thoughts going into this based on years of thinking about Donald Trump. Based on, let's say they don't, there's nothing, there's no impeachment proceedings. We got the Mueller report, we're moving on. Imagine tomorrow or in 6 months, Tom Perez calls a press conference and says, we're a good way into the Democratic primary and we're having a great debate. Meanwhile, Trump is off doing his thing. We don't really know what, so China, I would like you to break into every computer in Trump Tower, every computer that Donald Trump uses, White House if you want to, and I want you to find out everything, all about his business, everything. Based on the precedent that's been set this week, what could be done? I mean, let's say you say, well, you're telling them to break the law. No, he was joking. It was sarcasm.
So
he's just frustrated. He's frustrated by the nature of this campaign.
I don't think that's a big deal.
Okay,
I think that's a political
to add in
move,
a little bit. Hold on, just because we don't have much time. To add in a little bit of the bias of Donald Trump, what will Donald Trump feel he can't do in this next election?
I don't understand what you mean by that.
If he has a chance to potentially break the law to advantage himself in the next election, based on his experience of being investigated and having no consequences, what constraints would he feel going forward in this next election?
I don't think that will be increased or decreased by whether or not impeachment proceeds.
You don't think that if there is an effort to remove him from office, or even just to continue to put pressure on him?
I think regardless, there is always a perceived effort to remove him from office. That's what I'm just getting into, like, people don't know the intricacies of any given process at work. Like even without an impeachment process, a formal impeachment, there is still going to be Nadler looking for his tax returns, people subpoenaing personal information. That's still gonna go out. So there is still this perceived on Trump's end, Trump supporters' end, on Democrats' end who are fighting against each other saying, you're saying Trump too much and you're not saying Trump enough. Russia, 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 China, China, China. There's still this perceived group, this perceived force trying to remove Trump from office, whether he's being impeached or not.
Yeah, but again, that's about that's the narrative or what he would run against or whatever. I'm talking about the actual constraints he will feel day to day once he engages in what might be a very difficult attempt to get reaelected.
And my counter argument
why
is the
would he be worried about breaking the law?
Constraints.
No, but they're not. Why he could
specifically
let's say he breaks the law.
President.
What is he worried about? Is he worried about a special counsel being appointed? He could just dismiss him. He could fire him. It doesn't matter. What's the difference?
The president's legal standing is specifically different than anyone else. So if he's just some guy, if he's a governor, that's different. But with the president, the decision to remove him from office is one of Congress people voting, especially now. That has been solidified in the wake of the Mueller report.
Okay, I think I might be getting what you're saying. You're saying that, I mean, I guess politically, in terms of their ability to get it through the Senate, it might not be anything that could actually constrain him in practice. What I'm saying is right now, I don't know what would actually stop him from breaking the law in the future. Or from him being worried that if he broke the law, it could be found out, or if it was found out that there'd be any consequences. And people are, it scares me and it shocks me that people are acting like,
I get it.
Yeah, okay, the president can do whatever he wants.
Many people are, and that's why no matter what you do as far as putting pressure on him or not putting pressure on him, he already thinks he's above the law. If the investigation stressed him out for 2.5 years. Right, but because of the results of his entire life, he's never had to deal with consequences. So whether or not you put pressure on him, he's still gonna think he's above the law.
Constitutionally, he's above the law, but not above the lawmakers.
And the problem is many lawmakers work for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think about all the different times that judges have overruled some of his executive orders, and generally, he's stopped or whatever. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to know for sure. There's some nuance there, but he's generally stopped. I don't know why he would in the future.
Do you think impeachment would be successful as far as bringing?
I don't know, but I'm saying there has to be something. There has to be some attempt. If a judge tells him you can't separate families, and he says, "What are you going to do?" and he just keeps doing it, what are they going to do? They're going to appoint a special counsel? What's the point?
The only reason they stopped separating families is because enough Republicans said, "Yeah, this is a little too much for me." That's one of two times they've ever said that, about anything he's done. So impeachment, I don't think, is one of those things. But again, I'm not going to be banging the table against them doing it if they do it at the same time.
3 times. It's it is the border wall, and then it is most recently Yemen, and he was like, nah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, some of them deserve credit on Yemen.
That's true.
It is sad.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.